We're dancing, 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 dancing. We're dancing time, baby.
You remember your Sweet 16?
Yeah, I do.
I
Actually,
don't. I don't. I'm
I
too
do.
old. It was 32 years ago, Travis, and I've had multiple concussions since then.
Yeah, yeah, CTE's kicking in.
Yeah.
Well, we're excited, man. We're dancing. We're in the Sweet 16, so we got to bring in our basketball guru, Mr. Bart Reed, Pure Sweat Basketball, the basketball
Travis,
trainer of the Stars in Arkansas. How
how's
you
it
doing,
going,
Bart?
fellas? I'm
Great.
good, man. Y'all good?
Man,
No, and
we're
I thank you for helping me develop that crossover. By the way, I've
that's
been
right.
killing at the rec league.
People
That's
don't realize
right.
there's tons of men's league out there.
Yeah, and so
It's
hey, old man, this is not just for them whippersnappers. He'll train you a senior citizen.
That's exactly
He
right.
got my 2-year-old to dunk.
You know,
So
the secret to my basketball moves is the slow motion. You see, people aren't used to the slow motion crossover. They're used to the fast guy, but not me. I
no,
rock them to
Uh,
sleep a little bit.
that's
no,
right.
we're kind of like Chris
Decelerate.
Farley version of the Chippendales dancers, but for basketball.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. No, guys, it's exciting time in Arkansas, man. Coach Cal is on every daggum national TV show and radio show out there.
Yep.
The Hogs they're the talk of the town right now. Okay. And so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about lots of other things. But first, we need y'all out there. What do they need to do, Clint?
They need to like, then they need to share, and
Mm-hmm.
then subscribe. Hit that
Amen.
subscribe button, kids. It's fun.
Click it, click it, click it. All right. Hey, sweet 16, baby.
Mm.
How about some music?
1, 2, 3, 4. You ever seen a lame man walk? Ever
No,
heard a
man,
dumb
y'all
man
do
talk? Never seen a blind man see?
We know you're into
I promise you a change is here. Ever seen a cancer dead? Ever seen all the poor get fed? Ever seen a prisoner set free? I promise you a change is here. Lord, changes things. Lord, changes things.
There's a lot of stuff.
Ever seen a broken
Let's get
heart
some of
made
that.
whole? Ever seen an orphan find a home? Ever seen the weak find the strength? I promise you a change is here. Ever seen the sick get healed? Ever seen a mystery revealed? Ever seen a death man raised? I promise you a change is here.
Yeah, you gotta have experience to change. That's a good
What's up, everybody? How you doing? How you doing? It's time for the Hawg Slop podcast. Lots of slop about the NCAA tournament in the trough today. We're ready for it. We got my man Big C, Clint Clark, as always. And
What's up,
then
buddy?
we're dancing, so we got to bring in the basketball guru, Mr. Bart Reed.
best time of the
Guys,
year.
are y'all ready to talk some basketball, man?
I Man, I am, and I've said it forever, and I'll stand by it to my dying day. The opening weekend of March Madness, that round of 64,
Yeah.
those 2 days, that Thursday and that Friday, are the two best days
I agree.
in sports. It just,
Yeah.
bar none,
Yep.
they're the two best days because I mean that's where you get your craziness. Like I mean, who can forget Bryce Drew?
Yeah.
Throwing it, I mean, get in
Yeah.
that. I mean, just the crazy upsets.
And this is
You're only gonna
where
get that in round one. You're only gonna get it in round one, and it's amazing to watch.
and this
Yep.
is where technology has made life better.
Oh my goodness.
Because even
Yeah.
if you're at work, you can get on that app on the phone and you can check stuff out. watch the games, see what's going on. That's technology's wonderful. Sometimes technology can be a bad thing,
Yep,
but it's wonderful when it comes to March Madness and
I agree.
trying to keep up with everything. Now, guys, we didn't because of some craziness, Clint becoming a Texan and just some other stuff, busyness last week. We didn't do an episode, but we got to start off talking about something we didn't really want to talk about. But Clint, as I'm thinking about this tournament, as I'm watching these Hogs do what they're doing, I think of one guy that we got to know a little bit
Yeah.
that would enjoy this more than anybody, that I would love to be reading his tweets right now, was our man Big O Oliver Miller, one of our personal heroes and a guy that was willing to come on our podcast 3 times. And we enjoyed those conversations so much. And sadly, he passed away from cancer. I guess that was at the beginning of last week sometime.
Yeah, yeah. It was a little bit. It seemed like it was a little bit over a week ago, and it was. Two big O stories I'm going to tell from the podcast. And I know you're going to tell about how you got him on. Is number one. I remember when we have a guest on the podcast, we got some T-shirts made. Big C, Bigger T podcast T-shirts. The old logo right there, and the Travis has behind him. But I remember my wife would put a thing in there and say, "Please feel free to share on your socials." Sometimes I would get the shirts right back because the guys didn't know their own address, or they weren't there to take it. But Big O got it, and he on his Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, posted a photo of him in the with the shirt on, and gave a shout out on the podcast. Could have been better. The other one, they were thinking me and Travis did are all Hog basketball teams. We didn't count Corliss ones. We took them out. And we went down the list with Oliver Miller and who he thought would win. I think he said you would probably win.
Yeah.
But I remember the way he broke it down, like, okay, I'd be checking this guy to be checking this guy. And he really, he started, then you saw how his mind was so much different than me or Travis. We're like, this guy's better than this guy. He's like, okay, he started thinking about the matchups. And it was like a little interaction like that was such a treat for me.
Oh yeah. Well, Clint and Bart, I was sitting here one night and me and Clint were going to record that night, and this was around toward the end of, it was the end of COVID, but people were still getting COVID or whatever. Well, and I'm looking on my phone on Twitter or X or whatever, and I followed Big O on there, and he said quarantined and bored or something, said if anybody has any wants to talk hogs, hit me up, or or give me some questions or whatever. And I just sent him I sent him an instant message. I said, "Hey, you wouldn't want to be on a podcast, would you? Me and my buddy and we're gonna record later on." And he's like, "Let's do it." And I'm like, "Holy cow!" Because
prepared.
Bart, Bart, you're close. You're about the same age we are.
Yeah. Oh, he's a legend.
I mean, our fandom for Arkansas sports started with May Day and
Oh yeah.
Big O. I mean, that was, because the football team was just okay back then. I mean, but we were really starting to pay attention, and then all of a sudden that team was so electric to watch. And so, and then me and Clint, of course, were big guys. So who did we get compared to on the basketball court when we were playing,
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Big O. I mean, my nickname was Big T. Okay. I mean, that was what everybody called me. And so to sit there and it was so funny because I went back and watched that first episode he was on. And after we heard of him passing, and that was the night that Arkansas played Oklahoma State in baseball.
Forgot about that.
Remember that big series with Michael Turner was playing and all those guys, and that was the one where a lot of smack talk was going on.
Was that Rocco guy?
Yeah, and Big O's watching the game while he's talking to us, and like we'd be going and be like, home run! Big O would just start yelling. Man, and what we learned from that is this dude is a huge Hog fan.
Yeah,
Like he wasn't just a alumni, he wasn't just a former player. Like he loved the Hogs. In fact, he came on and did our football schedule breakdown with us. Now we all predicted it horribly that year, but
Yeah, I predicted us to go undefeated. It did not work out.
yeah, that's right. But I mean, that was the way he was, man. And then he was so gracious to us. And then when we, tweeted out the link to his episode, we had
Phoenix.
people from Phoenix that started following us on there and stuff like
yeah.
that. Like that, you could tell they loved him. And man,
Oh, they loved him. Yep.
and he loved to talk about his grandkids. Loved to talk about fishing, and playing golf. Mainly playing golf and his grandkids.
So, Bart, have you had any any interaction with Big O ever?
So no, but I can tell you that being a young man, I Mayberry, Day, and Big O, those teams, and when you had the football team transition to the SEC, it was such a rough start. But then, Big O had his battles with Shaquille O'Neal, and they were just legendary. And I was a big Suns fan because I love Barkley, and Barkley and Big O were like they were boys, and people don't realize what a great pro career, brief, but a very productive pro career that Oliver Miller had. That he was just such a different type of talent, just instinctively, maybe pound for pound, size for size, the best shot blocker in college basketball history. Got to be one of them. So, yeah, he'll be missed, but he just always seemed like he was really full of life and had a lot of fun doing what he was doing, and that was very contagious, I think, for the fans and other players that he played with.
No, I even gave him crap about rock and jock basketball and how terrible he was on it, and he took it well.
That's right.
He took it all in stride, but yeah, so he will be missed. We lost a true legend.
Yeah, and he loved what Musselman was doing at the time.
Yeah,
when we had him on, he was talking a lot about just really enjoying that, and so anyway, and he would have been eating this up right now. I mean,
yes,
he would have been the biggest Hog fan on X and whatever other social media stuff. He would have loved to be there for the the recognition of the '90s Final Four team. So anyway, just man, we're gonna miss that guy, and so he was definitely a great one and a great Hog, and I know I just kind of enjoyed that we got to hang out with him a little bit and hear some of his stories. But if you want to go back, folks, I forget what episode it was, 60 something in our it's a long ways back, but his story about when Nolan Richardson came to his house wearing some bright colored pants and cowboy boots. He said, I was shocked. He was like, yeah, Nolan really wasn't the reason I came to Arkansas. He said,
really?
Yeah, he said he talked too much. He said, but he liked him, but he said, he just said it was. He said he showed up dressed, all to the, how no one would dress, and he said I was closing the curtains. I didn't want people to see him.
Was he a Tulsa guy? Is that where?
No,
Dallas, Fort Worth.
Dallas, Fort Worth.
Dallas.
Area.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah. He didn't. He wanted to go to. He didn't want to go to a Texas school though. He wanted to go out of state, but he didn't want to go too far either. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Travis, I got something. I'm going to force a segue here because I've got something that's grinding my gears.
Okay, grind them.
Okay, they need to rename these freaking quadrants or whatever, from West, Midwest, South. How are the last four teams in the West going to be Texas Tech, Arkansas, Florida, and who's the other one? Is it Maryland?
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, nothing screams West Coast like Florida and Maryland.
Well, no, even worse. In the Western bracket, where did Arkansas play?
Providence.
Probably the eastmost place you could play.
It doesn't make any sense, people. I don't care what you rename, like the Coach K bracket and the Roy Williams bracket. but it's stupid.
You're
It's
having to
stupid.
travel
Whoever
from,
keeps doing it, you're stupid. Stop it.
I mean, that's a lot
Sorry.
of travel from
Let me.
Providence to San Francisco. I mean,
I'm sorry. I got my blood pressure up. I
yeah.
need to go take my pills.
All right, guys. So be honest, okay? Be honest. Who on your brackets had Arkansas in the Sweet 16?
Yeah.
I didn't fill out a bracket this year.
Okay.
But I would have probably had them beating Kansas. I don't know if I would have picked them much because I had it. I mean, they were playing better, but they weren't playing that great. I'm still super pessimistic, but we're winning the national title.
Listen, hey, it's possible. I thought St. John's was the weakest of the two seeds. And if you look at matchups, I predicted it on Friday. They were tailor made for Arkansas. The poor shooting team could be bothered by Arkansas's length and defensive versatility like it had upset, I think, written all over it.
I agree with you. In fact, I was more worried about Kansas than I was St. John.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought. I thought we would get up for Kansas, and then I thought we were better than St. John. And so that's why I picked us. That's why I picked us in both my brackets. I did to go to the Sweet 16 because I agree with you. I think you're exactly right there. Now let's talk about those games a little bit. First of all, one of the big things that happened was the return of the boogie. Okay. The Arkansas got its boogie back. Now, Bart, what did you think when you heard Boogie was coming back? Were you concerned? Were you
No,
excited? Or you?
I was excited because I think when Boogie left, I think there are a lot of people saying, well, there's the winning streak. And, Boogie even went to Coach Cal and said, listen, I want to come back, but they're doing great things. Do I need to? No, I mean, when you're playing 7 players and you're saying you can get a potential NBA first round draft pick, McDonald's All American, your leading scorer and assist, you're jumping up and down, especially to get him at tournament time. And I think he understands what his role is, and he's being worked in just fine. He's not trying to do too much. And man, he's had some big plays, but it sure gives them some options. Coach Cal has options with him. So I was excited to get him back in the mix. And I think he's doing a phenomenal job for a guy that hadn't played much basketball in the last, 2-3 months.
No, he looked absolutely amazing out there. And I think I was on the phone with Travis, and may have been, but we talked about how Wagner was bringing the ball up.
Yeah.
Boogie, he was like, okay, no, you've got this.
Yeah.
Wagner was running the point, and Boogie was more in the flow of the offense.
Yep.
Still, when they were pressing, it felt good having the ball in Boogie's hands, though.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And listen, for what people thought, Nelly Davis is still kind of played fairly steady. He's just going to kind of be up and down. I think he's one of those guys that said, but he hasn't gone away. He's played pretty decent in the tournament. So seems to be working out with all 3 of them in the lineup going 3 guards at times.
Now, I'll admit, I was a little concerned about Boogie coming back because
Okay.
I didn't know. Like, I wouldn't have been concerned if I would have known he would do what he's doing, and that the other players would keep doing their role like they're doing. What I was afraid was going to happen, because what was happening at the beginning of the year was everybody knew Boogie was talented, and so it was stand back and watch the stud go.
Yep.
And people like Brazil, people like Edu, and I know that they had some injuries, so now that's explained a little better. But what it looked like at that time, and Davis, what it looked like at that time was they were just kind of sitting back and letting Boogie do his thing. And then he would just, when he would involve them, he would involve them. A lot like Kobe Bryant would play. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we ain't the Lakers, and Boogie's not Kobe Bryant. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was worried they were going to go back to that kind of mentality. And but I started feeling better about it when I heard Cal say what you brought up, that Boogie came to him and said, I don't want to mess this up. And Cal's like, don't worry. We're gonna change some things, and the way they changed them is exactly what they needed to do.
Yeah,
because the team started believing in Wagner as the point, with Davis as the backup, with Billy doing it some, but now you got Boogie in there also doing it. So you're probably not going to have Richmond in there doing it as much as he was.
Yep.
And you got another body, which they didn't have, they needed,
They needed
especially with foul trouble.
with foul trouble. And hats off to Coach Cal for, man, this guy does not just get great basketball players, he gets really quality individual, just great people.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, Boogie Flan, wise beyond his years to even bring up that question to ask.
Yep.
That I don't know any guys that are very many that ask that type of question to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
But you can tell he gets it. And I think probably besides his game, which I think he's got big time game, his overall maturity, he's wise, well wise beyond his years. And so he gets what they're trying to do. I will say this. I think Thero presents a little different dynamic, but if you integrate him, because I think he probably comes back and plays. So I know we probably get into that, but
Mm-hmm.
you were concerned about Boogie. I'm probably a little bit concerned about if he comes back. I do. Thero.
Tell me why you're concerned about Thero, because to be
Well,
honest with you, I was less concerned about him.
yeah.
But after listening to some people listen to the radio, I was driving a little bit today and I listened to the radio. I see some of the concerns now.
Yeah.
Originally, I would have said I would rather have Thero than Boogie.
Well, I tell you, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to answer the question, but my biggest concern just as a fan is how well Brazil's playing.
Yeah, and that's that
in the starting lineup. That's the biggest thing. How about you, Bart?
Well, because that's what I was just about to say. And this is not taking anything away from Thero. Trayvon Brazil is outplaying. If you were to stack, and I know they're on the same team, so you're not stacked. Trayvon Brazil is outplaying him, and there's two caveats to that. One, Trayvon Brazil is an excellent outside 3-point threat that Arkansas desperately needs, but Brazil's ability, not because it's hard to get a stat for adjusting. He adjusts more shots, even if he doesn't block them, because of his wingspan and athleticism. So my fear is because he is playing so ridiculously great right now that falls off, because I don't want him to ever know what it was like what he played before, because he's playing like an NBA first round draft pick. Like he's playing, in my opinion, he's playing as good as anybody in the country, Cooper Flag included in that. That's how great he's playing.
No, I agree with you, and I really do think Cal's going to use him more as a hey, get you. Brazil's going to be starting. I would be shocked if he wasn't.
Yeah.
If the starting five isn't who started the first one, because I still think Boogie's coming off the bench.
Yeah.
I don't think because
and I think Thero too. Yeah.
I think Muller's coming off the bench, and it's more like Brazil gets in foul trouble. You may see Thero's minutes go up.
Yeah.
But I think it's Brazil's playing time to lose.
Agree.
Well, but here's my argument for. I agree with you exactly on Brazil. My concern would be him. However, St. John's did not play 1 second of zone against us. We looked inept against the zone against Kansas.
Kansas. We did.
We looked like a junior high team that had never seen a zone in our life.
Yeah. It's shocking, really. Yeah.
Yeah. And in fact, I texted you in the middle of it. I said, what are they doing? I mean, either I said, and my thought was either Cal isn't telling them what to do or they're not listening to what he's saying.
Right.
And to me, the guy, and Cal said this in his press conference, the guy that they use to bust the zone is Thero. And I think Texas Tech's going to play zone against us.
Yeah, I do too, buddy.
They're going to play zone. Now, I'm wondering why Brazil is not a good guy to bust that zone because what you mentioned, his shooting ability, expect not necessarily from the three, but I trust him to get those shots in the middle that that are sometimes wide open on the high post, things
Yep.
like that. Uh, but it ended up being Jonas Adu, which is not the guy you would think about to bust the zone normally. Now,
Right.
when what he did was they did some high low posts. Brazil was coming to baseline, and so Brazil did end up helping out with that. But I think Thero's your best guy because to me, Thero does something that what I've compared it to is a totally different players, different position. But I used to love watching Corey Beck whenever when the team needed a point,
Yeah.
when the other team was on a run, when Arkansas was in a drought, Beck was the guy that would break that drought because he was so versatile. He could post up the point guard. He
No
could
doubt.
drive and get a shot. He could hit a short. He wasn't a 3-point shooter, but he'd hit a short jumper, or he would tell Corliss get down low. I'm fixing to throw you the ball.
Right.
Everybody else
Yeah.
clear out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he was just smart about that. In the similar way, I mean, Thero's not the point guard. He's not going to direct traffic like that. But he's the guy that whenever you need a bucket, he's got the athleticism and the strength to
Yep.
get in there and get it or get fouled. Whatever you need to do to break that streak. Okay.
Yep.
And so I think that's going to be needed against Texas Tech because Texas Tech is going to, if we get on a drought against Texas Tech, they're going to hit shots.
Yeah.
And we'll find ourselves way behind.
So,
Yeah.
Bart, how do you like our chances against Texas Tech?
So I'm gonna steal the Charles Barkley line. I don't know who Angola is, but Angola's in trouble. Texas Tech is in trouble. They are. It's a matchup game. They present a really, I won't say great matchup for Arkansas, but it's a very friendly matchup for Arkansas. I think if you're going to beat Arkansas right now with the way that we're playing, and I think some of this stuff probably with the lineup is a little bit much to do about nothing because I don't think this is the same basketball team that we saw at the start of the year. I think defense travels a lot like Coach Muss's teams where I think they're playing as great defensively as any team that I've ever seen. I mean, and not just that, because it doesn't show up in the stats how versatile they are. Texas Tech they shoot it okay. They've got a little bit of inside presence, but they've got a big inside presence, but he's undersized. Okay. So if you're undersized going against the length, I mean, guys, did you see Billy Richmond come out? It was a goaltending, but did you see him come out of nowhere and block that shot?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, these guys are the wingspan and athleticism. It's another level. So if you're looking at Sweet 16 and then 7 of those teams are coming from the SEC, and there's probably about 2 or 3 games that the SEC wishes they had back because they had it and lost it. Vanderbilt, Mississippi State. I think it's a good matchup, and I really think if Arkansas is due to hit shots. They have not played well. They're due to hit shots.
Yeah.
If they come out in that zone, conversely, and we hit a couple of shots, and now you have Boogie Fland I mean, you get down by 6, 7, 8 points. That's a lead you might not be able to come back from.
Yeah.
Now, I think Boogie being hurt, we lost out on seeing the Billy Richmond with Boogie because Billy Richmond really looked like a different player with Boogie on the floor. And I don't know if it's because he's playing more of a wing and he wasn't having to be the point. He was able to just do that, but he just looked different with Boogie Fland on the court.
Yeah. But he's still so aggressive.
Yeah. Oh, he is. He is. And the one thing we know about Coach Cal, who's if you saw a talk show today, Coach Cal was on it.
Yeah.
But he's the guys at the end of the game, he's going to put the 5 that he thinks giving the best chance to win at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What Nolan always says, he goes, I don't care who starts, I care who finishes.
And by looking at this team, guys, that's one of the things that I think Coach Cal, you can make the case that this is a coach of the year type of performance for him. But starting 0-5, the injuries, like what he's doing is incredible. this team pulls for each other. I don't think they really care who's on the court. I think they want to win.
Yeah.
And Coach Cal gets that message across better than anybody.
Well, when you got that few of players, it's not like you're fighting for minutes.
True.
I mean, you
There's
know,
plenty.
just because
Yeah.
you're not a starter, you're still going to be out there. Your name's going to get said a lot. You're going to get a lot of balls passed to you, you know. Now, of course, another thing with Thero coming back, we didn't really talk about, you know, we talked mostly about offense, but him guarding JT Toppin,
Yeah.
that's going to be, he's probably, as far as athletically, size wise, you know, Toppin's like got an inch on him. Now, I think Brazil is going to be the guy on him.
Yeah.
I think Brazil starting out, that's who it is. But and I think Brazil can do a wonderful job on him because Brazil's, especially with the heart he's been playing with the last several games, like
Yeah.
you saying, he's playing top notch, and he's not just playing top notch offensively, he's playing top notch all around. You know, rebounding. I mean, he's filling up the stat line every game.
Yep.
But Toppin's going to be the guy we got to worry about, you know, because he's their motor, he's their guy. And I think that's where Thero can, even if he just plays the 10 or 12 minutes Cal's talking about, those minutes will be valuable because I think he's going to sick him on
Yeah.
top and when he's in there.
Yep.
Say, hey, shut him down and use some of your fouls to guard him, you know, so
Yep.
that Brazil and Adu doesn't have to do it.
Yep. And he's got two more guys. Listen, Carter Knox, as strong as he is,
Yep.
could spell them for minutes and play. And I'm going to tell you something because Billy Richmond is so aggressive, could slide down if he had to with foul trouble and guard. That's where I think Top is going to find himself. Very seldom do you get to see 4 to 5 guys that can. Now, I'm not saying that they're all going to come in and do a great job, but I'm saying you can throw minutes and fouls. And Arkansas's got 4 to 5 defenders that they can throw at him at any given time.
Well, and that's one of the best things about Arkansas and this team is they can switch on defense.
Yeah.
And keep a lock on people. I mean, they,
Yeah.
you know, even a Wagner, well, he's 6'5",
Yeah.
and plays pretty strong. And he was 6'5", 6'4", 6'5".
Well, I think he's like 6'2", but he's still, I mean, he's still a
Okay.
big guard, but
Yeah.
still.
But I
He's
mean,
a
he's
big
not
guard.
going to shy away. He's going to,
No,
like
absolutely. Yep.
like he's going to, especially up top, if they get switched off, he's not going to sit there, you know, and then help will come over. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is our guys are be pretty interchangeable, you know, when it
Yep.
comes to that, you know, sort of that, you know, like, you know, and then you got like a Brazil who's athletic enough to, you know, it
Yep.
doesn't matter, you know, who he's on a lot of times. I mean, he
Yep.
can at least, especially in the half court.
So let me interject this, guys, being the next player. You've played 7 players this long in the gauntlet of the SEC, where you're going on a max 2 to 3 days rest.
Yeah.
You know what this team is going to feel like having this time off right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of us taking about 2 months off. I mean, they're gonna be flying around. Like, this rest is as valuable. It benefits them, I think, more than any team in the tournament. I think they're gonna be fresh and they're gonna come out ready to play.
So,
How important was losing that second game of the SEC tournament to that too?
Yeah, it ended up helping, didn't it? Because I thought it would have helped the seeding if they win, but it probably wouldn't have. It's kind of looking at it now, but yeah, it's big.
no, I know they knew what they were doing with those matchups. They're like, they knew Patino was going to win. And they're like, okay, he's either going to get Cal or Self in the second round. We can't lose here.
Yeah.
I mean, it was about the matchup. Let's make no mistake about it, because Arkansas was 10 seed. They had them on a lower 10 seed than, I can't remember, a couple schools. I'm like, what?
I know. And you got to say something too. The guy that really got us the second half of the season, we have not even said his name in this podcast this far. That's how much I think ceiling the Arkansas Razorbacks have, because they're winning but not playing that great. Big Z has had a very off tournament that he could come out and get hot and go for 25.
That's right.
And that's a guy that watch out for, because think the law averages kick in, and he's not going to have very many more bad games without kind of busting out on the
And you
thing.
think his back has been bothering him, and that you
Yeah,
think that's why?
yeah, he just seems like he's just not as physically. I think not that he was a big physical player, but he just doesn't seem to want to get into contact and bang it up, mix it up, and do some things that he was doing prior to.
Well, and that's where this rest, like you were talking about,
Yeah,
could really, really be an advantage for him. Because
yeah,
the back. That's the thing. A back injury is something that the more you wear and tear you put on it, and
yep,
the least amount of rest, the more you hurt. So
yep,
yeah, I'm with you there. I mean, we'd love to have him, especially us needing to hit some shots or shooting to get better.
yeah.
It would be great. Now, how crazy? I think we talked about this before we started recording. Stop me if we did, if we
No,
were
go
recording this.
ahead.
Isn't it crazy that an SEC team,
Yeah. This is before we started recording.
okay, it's before we started recording, that an SEC team coached by a future Hall of Fame coach,
Preseason number 17.
preseason number 17, is the Cinderella story of the tournament. I
Yeah.
mean, how crazy is that? I mean, we're the lowest seed in the tournament, well, highest, whatever you call it. We were the,
I get
Yeah.
your proof.
the only double digit seed left where, you know, Cal's like we're talking about, he's been on every show because he's the belle of the ball because we're Cinderella, baby.
Yeah.
You know, we're an
Yeah.
SEC team. We're in a conference that has 7 teams out of 16.
Crazy.
We're in that conference. We're not some mid-major. We're not some no-name school that everybody's having to look on a map or Google to find out where it's at. Everybody knows
And no,
where
but
we're
everybody's
at.
not going, where did this coach come from?
We have a national championship and some Final Fours in our past. Okay. We've been top of the heap before. We have Coach Cal, who's one of the greatest, coaches of our time. And we're Cinderella, baby. We're wearing that glass slipper. How crazy is that?
Yeah. This is probably although the games have not, we don't, it's all chalk right now in the Sweet 16, but I think all the games have been relatively close. I mean, there's no huge lopsided 40, 50 point like we would see with even the ones in 60. So, but I agree. It's like Clint says, it's all Power Four conferences and NIL and as he said, the transfer portal, man, all that stuff comes into play because if you're putting up numbers now, you're trying to run off to a Power Four school so you
Yeah,
can
100%.
get a little
Because
money. Yeah.
those teams in the past that were like group of 4 schools that would make deep runs.
Yeah.
Um, they typically were more senior laden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They'd been together, they played together for years, and then you get them like whenever I always call them not Nolan, Stan Heath, because the only thing everybody cared about
Oh, yeah.
Nolan's the coach anymore.
Yeah.
That's it. So Stan Heath, but he basically inherited a senior laden Kent State team.
Yep.
Yeah.
And took them to the Elite Eight, and then got the Arkansas job out of it.
Yeah.
I mean that's what you used to see. Now, if you look at like Florida Atlantic, well, their head coach is at Michigan. He's got them in the. Are they in the Sweet 16 or did they lose? They won because they beat A&M, didn't they?
Michigan? No, Michigan's not in it, I don't think.
Michigan's not in it. Okay, I thought they were in. And their best players playing for Arkansas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
No, Michigan is in it. They're playing Auburn. So you're right.
Yeah, I thought they were still in it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that'll be actually a good game with the twin. No. Listen, I agree. And if you want to look at it, really the only quote unquote possible Cinderella story, the real one was McNeese, Will Wade.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. After the Tridents, which I loved them. I'm trying to think, was it UC? They had just went Division I. They played Michigan in the first round. They were really talented, and I thought, okay, this could
UC
be
San
like
Diego.
Yes, this could be like a Florida Gulf Coast type of team that would. But
Yeah.
they ended up getting beat in the first round. But yeah, Will Wade McNeese. I mean, but gosh, guys, if that's your Cinderella, would they win 26 games this year? I mean,
Yeah.
they had a lot of success, so that's really not even a Cinderella story, I don't think.
I mean, look at these matchups. You got Auburn, Michigan, Duke, Arizona, BYU. I'm sorry, BYU, Bama, Ole Miss, Michigan State, Florida, Maryland, Houston, Purdue, Kentucky, Tennessee,
Gosh,
Texas Tech, Arkansas.
I mean, those are some those are some marquee matchups. Any other
yeah,
year, I think Texas Tech, Arkansas is probably a prime time game.
Yeah.
I
yeah,
mean, it's just, yeah, that is saying that Duke Arizona matchup, that one's probably got the sexiest basketball names to it.
Yeah.
You think Lute Olson and Coach K when you think of that one.
yeah. That'll be a good one. Hey,
Oh,
I think the Tennessee Kentucky game. It's hard to beat
that's
a
gonna
team
be a
three
good game.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Kentucky's playing really. You got to tip your hat to Mark Pope, a guy that came in with no players. They're
Yeah.
pretty darn good. I mean, they've got a really good mix of talent, shooters, scorers, bigs. They're dangerous. So is Florida. I thought coming into the tournament, Florida was the best team. They have struggled in the tournament,
Yeah.
So,
uh, but they
so
have a lot of weapons.
who you gonna pick in the for the in the West, Maryland versus Florida? Who you got?
I'm saying it's a SEC matchup in the Elite Eight is Florida versus Arkansas, and listen, I think that's a flat coin toss.
Hmm.
Two equally matched teams
Because
play very
we played
similar.
Florida, it was part of our 0-5 start, weren't they?
Yeah, and listen,
Yeah.
we didn't play it that bad. That was, we
Yeah.
play them that bad. Florida played really well. It was one of the games where we kind of scored a lot of points. We just didn't shoot it. I mean, we shot it terrible, really, to be at home. Um, but we're not the same team, and I don't think Florida's playing as well now as they were then either.
Yeah. I picked now my original picks. I picked Arkansas to lose to Texas Tech, and I picked Florida to go on and win the national championship. Uh, I think Arkansas has the way we're playing. I think we have a good chance to beat Texas Tech, though. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if we didn't, but the only way we don't is if Texas Tech was to shoot well and we don't.
Yeah.
I think.
I will say this. I think of all 16 teams that are left in it, in Arkansas, whatever, we're Cinderella, we're still an SEC school coached by Coach Cal. With
Yeah.
how many 5 stars on this team? McDonald's All-American. So
Right.
I don't take it serious as Cinderella. There is
Yeah.
not an easy out in this tournament.
No.
No.
Any of the 16 teams left in it, any of them, any single one of them can win the national championship.
I agree.
I mean,
Yeah.
any of the 16, Arkansas included.
I agree.
There-
Absolutely.
Now, that being said, who right now to win the Natty? Who's your money on, Travis and Bart? If you had to bet a paycheck on it, and you had no choice, who you betting your money on?
I'm gonna stick with my original pick of Florida. That's gonna be my.
I might go with Auburn. I I would have said Florida. I said Florida going in. Man, they were really fortunate to get by UConn guys. Like they're
Yeah.
really fortunate.
Yeah.
Auburn's not playing great, but I think the SEC so battle tested to be hard for me to go away from an SEC team.
Yeah.
So who did you have again? You had Auburn. Oh, wait, no, you had Auburn. Who did you have?
Florida.
Florida, and I'm going to take Duke.
Okay, because that's I just
Yeah,
can't make myself, Clint. I can't make myself pick Duke. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I know. I can see why.
But they're talented. They're talented. They're good.
That's
I mean,
like literally picking the devil.
I mean, it's yeah.
Hey, now normally we do when we're struggling to fill time. Me and Travis do a segment called "What You Watch."
Yeah.
And then we just ask ourselves what we're watching. But it's usually because the other ones watch something, and we're just trying to get it out.
Right. Right.
So have either one of y'all, and I called Travis about this, have you watched the special of We Beat the Dream Team?
I love it. It's one of the best shows ever made. It's
I
great.
watched it after you told me about
You
it.
watched it. The story of the next day when the Dream Team and Charles Barkley's like, you boys talk too much.
That's right.
Yeah.
You boys talk too much.
Well, it was
Yeah.
actually later that day. Roy Williams said they went and played golf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when Barkley goes, your boys are talking too much, Roy. Because
Yeah.
Roy was coaching that team.
Yep.
He said,
He
your
was.
boys, they're talking too much. He goes, oh, they're kids. And then
Hey, you don't see a select team as good as that, man. There were
Yeah.
some players. I mean,
well, and I love that Allen Houston, he said Jordan told him, said, you're not going to get the ball above your shoulder.
and he didn't, did he?
It didn't. Like it ain't like it'd be one thing to say you're not gonna make any shots. It'd be one thing to say you're not gonna get off any shots. No. Jordan told him you're not gonna get the ball above your shoulder.
Yeah, it's incredible.
You're not even gonna be able to bring it up here. I'm gonna be all over you that much. And getting back to what we're doing, we're talking about. We talked about, St. John's did shoot badly. Okay.
Right.
And we're worried about with Texas Tech. I mentioned that I'm worried about them shooting well against us. But actually, Arkansas's defense has made these teams shoot bad.
That's it.
Our defense has really done a good job
Right.
of keeping the shooters at bay and keeping a hand in their face, denying the ball. I mean, the defense has really just been amazing.
It's been amazing, and I'm gonna say this because I'll forget. I think Arkansas's got a corner on the market of how to win ugly. See, I don't think Arkansas's got the recipe on how to win against elite level competition and play a crappy game. I'm telling you, they do not have to shoot the ball well at all, and contested shots, guys. I can't say this enough. Even at the NBA level, a contested shot, a hand in your face, is basically a miss shot.
Yeah.
You're shooting it at such a low percentage that it's not going to come out in the wash to come in your favor. Arkansas contest every single shot. And so I was so sick of the announcers here, St. John's not shooting well. No, they're not shooting well when you got athletes in Brazil and no, you're not, because it's great defense.
Yeah.
And that's really, and defense travels, and this is what you're seeing, the success.
Well, I remember we had you on during the 0-5 stretch right after that, and we were all doom and gloom, and then we started winning again, and we brought you back on, and it was just one of the things. It was so doom and gloom, like we were ready to quit on Coach Cal, and we're like, this is not working. He did this, it's not working. But this team never believed that. They never quit.
Yep.
And I believe what Coach Cal is saying.
And one of the things that we griped about in that episode, if y'all remember, is the closeouts. I mean, that's one of the things I talked about Davis. Was his closeouts were terrible at that time.
Yep.
Like he wouldn't even raise his hands up half the time. I mean, and he was standing straight up. He's a total different person now.
Yeah, he is.
His defense is tremendous.
Yep. And remember then, guys, we weren't getting to the free throw line. What were we going?
No.
8 times a game. Now they're leading the country. They're 24, 26 times a game.
Well, they're driving the ball now. They're driving the ball.
We can't prove it, but maybe Coach Cal watched that episode and got some
I think
ideas.
so.
That's probably what happened.
I think he did.
Listen, you might be surprised.
In our deranged mind, we'll just believe it happened.
But let me leave you with this. You can't, because I've heard this zone, so I'm attacking all my basketball buddies. At the start of the season, when Arkansas was 0-5, we did one thing terrible. The offensive rebounding did not factor into the offensive equation.
Yeah.
When you're in a zone, you give up open looks. Now you have Boogie Flan back. Trayvon Brazil's a different player. But what the other thing you give up is rebounding position. It is hard to rebound out of a zone. Texas Tech is not as big as Arkansas. They could find themselves in trouble, even if Arkansas does not hit threes on the glass off it, because Arkansas is attacking the offensive glass with abandon. And it's now part of their strategy. It wasn't before. So just because Arkansas doesn't shoot the three ball well doesn't mean a zone always works, because there's downsides to a zone besides the obvious.
Especially the way Adu and Brazil are playing.
Yep.
Just so hard. So, yeah. Well, folks, Hogs are dancing. It's Sweet 16. And then, 9-something Saturday night?
Yeah, it's going to be a late one. There's going to be a late one. I'm probably going to allow myself to have a cup of coffee around 6.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But hey, it's going to be worth it.
If it goes bad, I'm going to wish I hadn't drank it.
That's right, yeah. Going to be chasing with some NyQuil or something. But no, man, this is an exciting time for Arkansas basketball, baby. It's an exciting time, and we're excited about it. And let's root on those Hogs. And, this coaching staff deserves all the credit in the world. Not just Cal. I watched an episode of the Hog Pod or whatever, Bo Mattingly and Jonas Adu was singing the praises of Kenny Payne.
Yeah.
And talking about how much he's helped him. And who are we talking about that's improved the most besides Davis?
Trayvon Brazil.
Brazil and Adu, right? And I know Adu, now we're finding out, was that injury to his foot, that he was, like he said in that interview, he thought he was going to have to redshirt this year. He didn't think he was going to be able to play.
Yeah.
And so we're so thankful he ended up playing, because, man, he's
playing great.
Yeah. And how about a guy that can go with both hands?
I know.
Down low. I mean, how much of a weapon is that? I mean, I didn't realize the offensive weapon that he is, until these last few games.
Yeah.
But he's turned into be a great offensive weapon. So anyway, there's lots of great stories, but root on those Hogs. And first, before you do that, like, share, comment, subscribe.
I want to hear. We all three picked our national championship. Tell them two why I'm right and they're wrong.
No.
Oh, wait,
tell them why I'm right and they're wrong.
Tell them Bart's the expert. Auburn, congratulations on the national.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
No.
Yeah.
Hey,
bring it in there to the Plains. Good job, Bruce Pearl.
Good of a shot
That's
to win. Arkansas got a good shot.
But tell us who you got. Tell us who you got winning it all. Tell us what we're wrong.
I was listening to the Buzz the other day, and someone, I think it was on Razorback Graffiti, someone said, "When's Cal going to take his shirt off?" So if Auburn wins, Bruce Pearl will probably take his off. So,
Yeah.
Me and Travis were talking one time. If I hosted Drive Time Sports, Travis is like, you couldn't take callers.
Yeah.
We would have no listeners because I'd just tell people they're idiots.
Yeah. That's
like
right.
the entire time, like, you're too stupid to talk to.
Hey, that's why I went on there and I told Randy, I said, I'm just calling the winner. He said, don't be careful with your predictions. I'm like, man, it's Arkansas's taking it all the way, 100%.
Yeah, that's right.
They're the better team.
That's right. Well, folks, thank y'all so much. Bart, appreciate you as always.
Thanks, guys.
Man.
I love it. Always.
Bring so much to it, and it's fun to talk basketball with you, Clint. Hey, man, eat some brisket, eat some beef ribs down there.
Yeah,
down there in Texas.
I do like me some brisket.
That's right. Folks, appreciate y'all so much. Have a blessed week. Go Hogs! Beat them Red Raiders.
Sweat, work, filthy, dirt, harvest, hurt, kingdom come. Sweat, work, filthy, dirt, harvest, hurt, kingdom come. Listen, that's why I sweat when I work. My hands get filthy down in this dirt. Won't see no harvest till I hurt. Crying your kingdom come. Listen, I wake up in the morning, I bow my head to pray. Mama told me if I don't, ain't nothing gonna change. These prayers breaking up hard ground so I can sow the seed. Ain't afraid of no aches and pain. Lord knows I gotta follow his lead. That's why I sweat when I work. My hands get filthy down in this dirt. Won't see no water till I hurt. Crying your kingdom come. Oh, I sweat when I work. My hands get filthy down in this dirt. Won't see no water till I hurt. Crying your kingdom come. Sun beating down so hard I can barely breathe. Hard to sing a joyful song. The words got me on my knees. Then the gentle breeze blows by, pick me up right on time. Listen, now I know